There. There it is. All right, excellent. And I'm going to start sharing my screen because we're going to dive right in. For those of you who don't know me, I don't know who you are. If you don't know me, you might not know me yet, Jacqueline, right?
I was on the other side of the computer last time.
I've seen your name before.
Virtually seen you.
Okay, cool. And we have a few new folks, which is awesome. My name is Mike Volz. I'm currently serving as your district commissioner, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about. Ian will tell you this because I've been talking about this for many years, and we've had lots of conversations, I think, about summers and summer camp. And if you're online, like, just poke me if you have a question. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate the grace, Joe. Okay. So today's topic is summers. More specifically, we're going to dive into summer camps a lot. We're going to talk a lot about Butte Creek, what to expect, what's new. I had a conversation with Jennifer Ramirez last week and got some of the lowdown. I will also talk about base at Baldwin, which you've been to, right? Anybody else been to? Okay. Oh, we've got experts. Yay. You do? Really?
This will be my third year.
Okay, so we have experts in the room, which is awesome. And we'll talk about what to expect. I didn't have a chance to talk to Bo. He's going to be the camp director at Baldwin this year. But I got sort of a general overview. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a leader guide available yet. I couldn't find it. So we're a little bit down. But before we get to summer camps, I want to talk about summer. And the reason I want to cover this really quickly, I'm not going to go into all the things you can do, the 1,000 things of this and that, and you can take the kids rock climbing and can do bazookas. No. There's a history of some packs that shut down between June and September. And I want to take a moment to encourage you to not do that, to create a program, even if it's a lightweight program, from the end of the school year, even before that, all the way through till the next school year begins. And the reason for that is to keep the scouting momentum going, right? To create a thread between each school year. Summer camp is a great anchor for that. It's honestly the Cub Scout like mountaintop experience, really, for the Cub Scouts. For us, it's a lot of like, oh my gosh, it's a lot, but it's a lot of fun for them. It's a big thing. Tying together a couple of other events, hikes, bike rides, disc golf, soccer in the park, something that's easy, very cost effective, is a great way to keep that thing going. And again, it doesn't have to be a big formal event. It certainly doesn't have to be a pack meeting or a den meeting, just something fun. The weather is going to be great, usually, right? In July, August, that kind of thing. There's no reason not to get together, even if half your pack shows up. Now, I like to we used to do 1 or 2 each month, right? June, July, August. And if you do at least one, you can line yourself up to earn the National Summertime Pack Award, which is, as it says, designed to encourage packs to provide a year-round program. Again, the program in the summer can be lightweight. That's okay. There's no problem with that. It's just keeping that momentum going. We're still doing stuff. And you don't have a scout get to September and go, oh, Cub Scouts. Do I want to do that again?
National Summertime staying with the new program?
Yes, it has nothing to do with as far as I know, it has nothing to do.
A lot of awards.
Yes.
It's not being removed, but the requirements are going to be much easier. It's basically just do a scouting activity.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be with a pack or whatever. Just do a scouting activity in June, July.
Okay, so you know more than I do.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking a little bit to the old rules, but this is like it's even easier. So now I'm gonna argue that having pack activities is even better than just go do a scouting activity to kind of keep that energy going, keep the synergy within your dens, within your pack, right? Informally is great. Time periods when school is out are a great time to just, hey, do you want to go for a hike and try on for a morning and go check out the nature center and that kind of stuff. Every pack that exists is eligible. Every Cub Scout that's registered is eligible. Doesn't matter what your charter organization is or any of that. There are 3 levels. Do you know if they still do the ribbons? Because they are. Okay, because they got rid of the JTE ribbons.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hope they bring the ribbons back, because there's a pack level thing that was a nice ribbon we could add to our flag that was cool. The pack requirements are very simple. Do 1 activity June, July, August. Is it changed?
I think it's just going to be scout specific. I don't think they can have.
Oh, they're ratcheting back. Okay, I'm gonna say it's a good idea to still do this though, because this keeps that thread going. So I guess my stuff's out of date. I'm sorry about that. And so the den stuff is pulled back as well. All right.
The Cubs, if other people.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about what your scout can earn. shall we? And by the way, summer camp counts. Summer months are June, July, August. Your scout can earn these cool pins. If they go to any event, they at least one event throughout each summer month, they get a cool pin that is associated with a rank that they just earned. So if you have a tiger, they just finished tiger, they roll into the summer, they go to summer camp, they're earning the tiger color, the orange up there, which is weirdly different than the outdoor activity award, the big flap, which I hope is also continuing. Oh my gosh, seriously? Wow, they are really simplifying this.
No more facts.
Jeez.
They said like less than like 2% of units actually used all the special awards.
Yeah, okay.
So
They're just throwing them out. Yeah, well, our unit was one of them back in the day. Okay. So they get a thing and it's fun. And that's at least something that they get to hang on to as a, yeah, I did a thing. And that's great. So we'll go ahead and skip the summertime award. This is the way it used to be with the colors associated with the ranks. And this site doesn't exist anymore, but it was very clear. The other thing you can do is if you have a lion that just finished lions, they're going into tigers. There, at least at the time, there was not a pin color for them. There is a segment. You can get them a segment. We can give them all the segments we want. Why not? Why not? Right? Do something so that everybody gets something for doing stuff over the summer. So try to find the new requirements. I was not able to find the new requirements if they're on scouting.org or not. So I'm doing my best here.
Any of it's getting officially released
Till June. Oh, that's
But
frustrating.
you know, they do a podcast and they do
Yeah.
the videos.
Yeah.
Got the right
So
advice.
that's where I've heard
Yes.
a lot of the
also-
info and it's really helpful.
Also, there's a Facebook group called Cub Scout Volunteers, and there's people from way
All
higher up that leak little information on there every once in a while.
It's too bad we don't have official stuff, but, and like, I think Mr. Kelly's saying, or sorry, Mr. Eakins is saying, it's good to have that thread. Heather, you got a
Under program updates.
program updates.
That talks about.
Oh, okay, cool. So keep an eye out for that. It's on, you said that's a Facebook post?
No,
It's on the Cub Scout page.
Oh, the Cub Scout page. Excellent. Thank you. So there is new information and I just didn't find it correctly. Part because I was searching for the summertime award. So as I said, though, summer camp is a benchmark in the summer for our Cub Scouts. It is super fun. Oh, there's a Cub Scout subreddit. Thanks, Stephen. If you're into Reddit, there's a good Cub Scout subreddit, and I used to be on that quite a bit. So, and ooh, a good suggestion from Joe: make your own ribbon. Why not? It's not official, but that's a great idea, Joe. Thanks for sharing. Summer camp is the benchmark. It is the milestone. It is it's kind of a mountaintop experience. And the thing that I really wanted to focus on this evening is that scouting over 100 years ago started with summer camp. Robert Baden-Powell came back. You had wrote in this book. People like glommed onto it, a lot of youth. And I was like, well, let's go to this place called Brown Sea Island and go camping for a week. They started with summer camp, literally. And so it's for me, a true foundational part of scouting, right? And it starts here with Cub Scouts and it continues into the troop program and on and on. And then you get into things like Jamboree and Philmont and Sea Base and Northern Tier that are just true mountaintop experiences. As of right now, our council does not have a day camp experience that they offer. All of our Cub Scout camp experiences are what we call resident camps. Some people refer to that from other parts of the world of sleepaway camp, if you're familiar with that. It's all the same. You go somewhere, you stay a few days, you sleep there, and you eat there. And we'll talk about that too. There are two. Butte Creek is, and we'll talk more about this later. It is great for every scout that wants to go. Baldwin Base Webelos Adventure, I think is the official name, is for the older scouts. I hope I got that right. If they finished Bear, they're welcome to go. Anything kind of younger than that, it's going to be more challenging for them. This is a lot of focusing on scout skills, and we'll touch on that when we get there. I want to take a brief aside and mention that there is no requirement for your Cub Scouts to go to summer camp in our council. We have in the past had scouts come to go to camp with us from other councils because their council didn't offer a good, robust program. And my example for this is if you have a scout in your pack and they spend the entire month of July with grandma and grandpa in Wyoming, and that's when you're going to camp, that scout could go to camp in Wyoming with grandma or grandpa. It's a little more logistically challenging to find that and make it happen, but it is very possible. Especially the example that I had that it was what we experienced is one of our chapter chief now actually was in my den from ages and ages ago, and he had a cousin up in University Place, just southwest of Tacoma, and they just didn't have a Cub Scout program. He came down, went to summer camp with his cousin, and it was fun. Everybody got to know him. He was, just a part of the gang. There's nothing against that. We did learn, and this is a good note, if you do that, you have to register the scout in your pack. You can't just come as a ghost scout. And we learned that after a while. And everything now being online in Black Pug, they're going to say, select the scout on your roster that is going. So there's no like, don't worry about who that is. So keep that in mind. It's fairly rare, but it does happen. So
I've also seen, or like, we once had, we were at Baldwin and there was like another unit of one scout. It was just that scout and the parent.
Yeah.
So that's called a lone scout program, and that you can do that.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
just- yeah, you can totally do
Yeah, so we basically, they were just like
Yep.
+2 for our.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's really, I'm trying to remove mental barriers to, well, Billy Cub Scout can't go. Let's find a way, because this is a really cool thing. Resident camps, if you're not familiar, it sounds like most of you are, which is awesome. They're kind of a short version of what we send our troops to, the Scouts BSA Troop Summer Camp, which, if you're not familiar, starts Sunday afternoon, ends Saturday late morning. It is a full week. They have full program, waterfront, firearms, the whole bit, right? This is just age appropriate and time appropriate in terms of how long. So they're 4 days or 6 days. We'll get to that in a minute on how old the scout is, where this is. 4 days is Butte. It's not quite 4 days.
3 days.
It's
72
it's
hours.
3 nights and about 70.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then Butte's closer to 6 days. Although I have schedules for at least,
Around physical.
yeah, it is. It's appropriate for all registered Cub Scouts, at least Butte Creek is. I'm sorry, I kind of goofed on that line. Yeah, all registered Cub Scouts should be able to go to camp. And the point is, Jennifer Ramirez told me this, and she did it last year, it worked this year. If you have a scout that just joined, they can come to summer camp. We've had success with that. We had the McQueens actually joined in like May, and we just get them to summer camp, and it gets them excited. They see the cool stuff and they're ready to go. So that can be a part of your spring recruitment plan is, hey, we got a couple extra slots at summer camp. If you want to join, we're here for you, right? So let's start with Butte Creek. A lot of us are very familiar with Butte Creek. I'm going to tell you what I know and some of the updates here. So near Scotts Mills, my joke here is you drive to the crossroads of nowhere where you hear the banjos, and you keep driving, and then you're almost there. It is really out there a ways. All the sessions here are 4-day, not quite 4-day, but there's day 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there's 3 nights. And we'll have an example, a draft of their schedule in just a minute here from Mrs. Ramirez. It runs from early July, right after the 4th of July, through mid-August. There are 11 sessions to choose from. Some of them are getting full. If you have a reservation and it's kind of tight and you want to add a few scouts, call down to the office, and you can usually sneak a few scouts in. If you don't have a reservation and you want to sign up 10, they're going to say, try another session. The last session I hear is wide open. So if you're okay with going in mid-August when it's kind of toasty and you haven't made a reservation yet, that's a great place to start. And yes, Joe, you're right. Sea base is not actually a mountaintop experience. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a random question here.
Okay.
I hope I'm not derailing your presentation.
Fire it off.
So one of the challenges we've had at 260 is finding the adult volunteers to do it.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Yeah,
Really?
so so my son and half of our pack
Yeah.
just crossed over.
Okay.
Right, so I'm leaving a lot of the leadership, that's been there
Okay.
is leaving, right? So it's getting the parents and the leadership involved there, right? So, at this point, I've broken the news, like, if we don't get registered volunteers and so we can do the 2D leadership and get
Yeah.
people engaged and involved, and, it isn't happening, and really that's on the next group of leadership.
Right.
So what I'm trying to figure out is there a way I can get those you know, handful of families that are interested.
Yeah.
You know, looking up
Let's-
with another, how would I go about that?
Let's come back to this towards the end. I think this is a good conversation. And I have an interesting. It's a complement of that for most of our packs, which is really interesting. But I want to cover this, but let's come back to this towards the end, because this is
Real
interesting.
Quick, Bill, last year, I took 5 scouts. to
Yeah.
Butte, right, so they just put you in kind of like what you were saying, in a site with another one, and when they just merge, like, so they'll fill up the site, so
Yeah.
the site will take 20 scout or 20 people, will put all these
Yep.
small groups in and fill it up, then you become one unit for the 3 days.
That's
you're
fine.
there.
Yeah, no,
So,
which is good, but I mean, at that point, I need to make sure that the parents of those scouts are with them, right?
Absolutely, yes. No, and so let's come back to that, because that's a good question. Logistically speaking, there are some challenges. Sessions are Saturday through Tuesday. Staff gets a day off, Tuesday afternoon to Wednesday afternoon, and then Wednesday through Saturday. I always appreciated personally the one that ended on Saturday, because then I could go home and get a good day of rest on Sunday before going back to work on Monday, but to each their own. That's how it's lined up on the calendar. It's kind of like 2 columns. Butte Creek is appropriate for all ages of Cub Scouts. All ages, they'll take anybody.
Does that include Lions?
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does.
Oh, so.
Jennifer has a whole program of, if you have a scout that needs a break, and she's got some stuff, and-
or lions that are transitioning to tigers.
both.
I know, I was just asking. They're
The ones
currently-
that are, the
they're
ones
currently
that are
lions now.
going to be lions.
Oh, they're incoming
Yeah.
lions.
I would-
Yeah,
But-
incoming lions.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
So,
That's why. I was
This is a
thinking,
great question
But also the incoming.
for the volunteer services desk to make sure.
Yeah.
There's also an element of talking to the parents, maturity level,
Mhm.
because it's a lot.
Mhm.
And then you can talk to Jennifer Ramirez. We'll talk about the camp leader meetings that are coming up. That's a great point to ask, hey, what's the plan for this? This is the age. My understanding is yes, if they're registered, they're welcome to come.
Okay.
Okay, so all Cub Scouts, it's always Old West cowboy adventure stuff, horseback riding, BB guns. They do try to get every scout onto a horse. The older ones, they'll go for a little ride. The younger ones, they'll kind of stay in the paddock and walk them around just a little bit. And they meet the scouts where they are. If the scout is having a little anxiety, they'll just hang out and they'll sit on the horse until everything's cool. And that'll be that. And that was my oldest had that happen, and it's just, we meet the scouts where they are. They're really good at that. Panning for gold is traditional. When you're there and you see them cast the what's it called?
Pyrite.
Thank you, pyrite into the water. Look over there, Chuck. It's fairly hilarious. Every campsite has mini DACs. There are no green canvas tents anymore. I've got a picture of a layout of the new a map of the camp to show you in a bit, and I've got a few tips and tricks if you're not into being cooked on the mountain. These are some older pictures, but it gives you an idea. Mini DACs. There's thank you, Main Street. They've really gussied it up. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. They did a repaint, rejob. It's really nice. And Scotty down there on the bottom left. I always love the everything comes with beans. I saw it on the floor of the cafeteria when I was there last. I don't know if they're going to put it up. It just makes me laugh every single time. And the bottom one is Scotty doing the street show for 1 year. I was sitting right there in front, which is awesome. Oops. Okay, we'll come back to that. These are some of my scouts I took. I believe this is 2016 or 17. But this is an example of on the far end of the field, they have a barn that one of the staffers usually is the farmer for the summer, and they go and find some animals. Could be rabbits, could be ducks, could be chickens, could be whatever. Hang on, nice one. Sure, incoming lions aren't allowed at summer camp. Okay, Joe, we'll follow up on that. Joe thinks that maybe incoming lions aren't allowed. I did talk to Jennifer about that. Archery, let's see, archery's top one on this one. The BB gun range is the bottom one. The kids love the animals, especially if you have a scout that really enjoys the animals. They get to kind of, depending on the animal, right? Get to handle them a little bit and help feed them. I'll come back to that in a minute. There's a schedule. You're going to arrive sometime between 3 and 6 p.m. So that's your day one. And it's basically move in. They do the fire drill. They do the welcome adult leader meeting. And you're just kind of settling in that day one. Day 2 and day 3 are solid program. You'll see a lot of station time, and you're going to see, if you've been last year, Jennifer tells me they're going to have a bit more open time this time. They're,
Yeah, we went.
It was pretty busy last year.
It
Yeah,
was-
we went last year and it.
I
Yeah.
think they heard the feedback.
Jam-packed.
Yes,
Yeah.
and And what they do is they try to really just shove the fun at the Cub Scouts, right? And for us, it's like, oh my gosh, now we're going where? And I get,
I mean, to be
yeah,
honest with you, I mean, yeah, it was amazing. For
Yes.
My son and I, we did it together and it was
the staff is fabulous,
amazing.
right?
Oh, man.
It's amazing.
Your social.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's day 2 and day 3. The evening, there's some special stuff in terms of the street show and then the campwide campfire. So you can expect that. And I got some tips and tricks. You guys might already know them, but we'll cover them in case anybody doesn't, on how to survive those 2 days and not go home with 32 pig pins in your minivan or whatever it is. Day 4, it's really quick breakfast, scout zone, flag, you're out the door. You will be home for lunch. That's a good way to think of it. You will be home for lunch, period. This-
It says in camp, and it is. They
Yeah.
drop it off in your site.
Yep.
To, food to go.
It is, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Because, if it's the Saturday afternoon, they have to turn that around quick. They have to clean things up and get going. And so the staff is very busy. This is the draft. It might change between now and when you get there. Jennifer sent this to me almost exactly a week ago. I don't know if there will be any significant adjustments, but it's similar to when I was there. I went for 3 days and it was just a little bit adjusted. So, but this is what you can kind of expect to keep your mindset of we're going to arrive between 3 and 6. One of the things that I found really helpful is we used to check in around 1-ish was the time frame, 1 to like 3. And we would go to Scotts Mills Park on First Street to have lunch. And it was great because then the scouts could get out after about an hour and a half in the car, run around, plan the things, get it all out, and they're tired, get back in the car. You've got about 15, 20 minutes to camp. And they're not just jittering, just ready to go, right? It's easy to find on Google Maps. If you drive past it on First Street, it's easy to miss the entrance. But it's a cute little park. It's a great place to go and just take a break for an hour and 15 minutes. The Cub Scouts will find fun things to do, right? That's what they're going to run around and play tag or whatever. Just my tip to you, that's a good place to stop for a break.
Echo that with just maybe like a 1-minute story here, which is following in its footsteps, did the same thing, meet at the park, do a little barbecue lunch thing. In fact, that park is a pretty nice, like county or
Oh, it is.
city park.
Yeah.
In fact, they have built-in barbecue facilities.
Yes, they do.
So you can like just show up with the food, which is nice. And then so we showed up and there's the 2 sessions, right? Saturday to Tuesday and
Yes.
Wednesday to.
Yeah.
And so I think we typically done like the Wednesday to Saturday one. Then one year we did the Saturday to Tuesday one. And showed up in the middle of summer on Saturday at that park and we pulled in and realized everybody in this county. By the way, those barbecues that we were thinking of using, they're long since taken over by people who are actually using it and realized, well, we got like a cooler of hot dogs and like, what are we gonna do here? So I actually drove to Silverton and bought a barbecue on the farm. Our proud owners of a small little whatever. And we
That's
drove them up and then
hilarious.
went, wait, where did you put the hot coals after you barbecue? Yeah, so if you go on a Saturday. there's gonna be mindful.
Flip side of that is that it used to be on Thursdays, they all had like a county free food thing. Somebody was out there actually offering lunches and I don't know if they still do it, but
We met there, not for the food, but also because they want your whole unit to check in at the same time, so we used it as a meetup place, right?
Hmm.
Get all the families together
Yeah.
there and then go from there to camp. So everybody was arriving at camp at the same
yeah,
time.
absolutely. There's a quick question. I forgot to mention this to folks online here. These slides will be online and I will send a link to everybody and I'm going to take a screenshot of the Zoom session real quick. Thank you for reminding me, John, about the slide deck. I sincerely appreciate that. I should have done this while Ian was telling his war story. Let's see. I want to, oops, not that. Okay, now I'm really lost. Sorry, guys. I got derailed. I'm going to stop sharing. Where did my chat go? Where did my participants go? There we go. Perfect. Okay, I will save that. Sorry about that, everybody. And we'll get back into it. Sure. Okay, so there are 11 sessions at camp this year. And this is the list. Come on. It's the same list that you can find online at that site right there on the bottom. All these links are live, and if you want to download the slideshow and live through it again, feel free. And that's also, there's a link to straight to Black Pug to register. So it's pretty easy. Black Pug's a lot different. It's rather different than Tentaroo. You'll get used to it. It's all on there. Quick map. I'm going to stand up. Sorry, everybody online. So I think of the camp upside down. This is the field. There are two sites here, right, Ian, that are in, anybody else been to these two
Yeah.
sites way in the end? This is a little bit more shaded than all of them over here on the hill where it gets hot. It gets really hot. And this will be on the slides. Main Street's here. So if you're really averse to having a mini deck that just cooks during the July or August heat, try to see if you can get Yellow Rose or is it Happy
River.
Thank you, Happy River. This is the map for where it's at. Basically, I usually drive through Mount Angel. I think when I get there, I take the back roads often too. It's not hard, you know, from Beaverton, it's about an hour. From here, it's probably about an hour and 15 if you take 26, 217. Those are the current prices as best I could tell. Jennifer does tell me there still is the policy of you get a free adult for however many scouts. So it's one adult, if I remember correctly, per 6 scouts. So up to 6, you have one adult for free. Up to 12, you get 2. Up to 18, you get 3. And then if you're more than 18, you're nuts. So that's my joke, at least. Again, there's the link. I have a few tips and tricks to share with you. A couple important ones off the bat. Special needs forms. We see a lot of those for allergies, food allergies, and food intolerances. A lot these days. Those are going to be from Black Pug. If Mr. Eakins is coordinating a group, he's going to be able to send a link to everybody in his den, usually the parents or guardians. Here is the special needs form. I need you to fill it out for Billy Cub Scout and make sure it gets submitted. The good news is it's not going to get lost. It's digital. It's going to be in the system. They'll find it. That's the theory. Now we'll come back to that. It used to be they collect meds, especially prescription meds, and you have to go to the medic for any scout to get stuff. That's over. All the meds are going to be in a lockbox. They're going to give you a lockbox in your campsite, and it is your responsibility as the adult leader to manage that. It's more like Scouts BSA. There's
adult to manage it. It doesn't have to be,
yes,
and there's a log that goes in it of what's dispensed to who and when.
exactly. And so be prepared for that. I would recommend having, if you bring a substantial group, make sure you have one person who has the capability of putting on a Band-Aid and the willingness to dispense medicine and write it in the log. And they could be your on-site medic. That's kind of how I would do it personally. You do what works for you. Over-the-counter medications will not be dispensed by the medic. Again, that is up to your group in camp or on the trail or wherever you are. I tend to say, oh, you know, Tommy, sorry, Billy Cub Scout. We're not Tommy Tenderfoot right now. Here's some Advil. If you have a headache, I'm going to put it right here on the table because I'm not authorized to give you necessarily. But usually I know the adult, the parent, the guardian, the whatever. So it's usually okay. At check-in to speak to the allergy and intolerance things. I was told by Jennifer last year, the head chef was at almost every single check-in and talked to everybody to make sure they didn't miss anything, with the exception of when one huge food delivery showed up in the middle of check-in and they had to go and deal with that. Semper Gumby will figure it out, all that stuff. But they do their best now because there are so many intolerances and allergies and things like that that we need to be aware of at camp, and it's a big deal. So don't be shy. If you're at check-in and they ask the question, is a peanut going to kill you? Say yes if it will, please. If you can, and this is just my thing, I love the early morning horse feeding. The scouts got so excited about it. I would do that on day 2 in the morning if you can. And the other option is usually they did an early morning animal feeding at the little farm building on the other side of the field. We took our kids to the horses first because it's a little more special. You really yell when you get there. There was a group the year that I was there that was disappointed when they horses, wranglers, and they didn't hear them. Really yell, like have the scouts just scream. It was very sad. Fishing is not going to be a rotation station this year. It's going to be there for open program. They have a different thing set up, and be prepared for it'll be a little bit different in terms of the rotations. And again, there's more open time. Jennifer hopes that's going to help with keeping things flowing. We'll see. Again, expect lots of more time for open activities. What I call, hey, get a buddy and go do something fun, right? And you as a parent, you can follow along if you want to, age appropriate and all that, right? And really embrace the fact that you're kind of part of the staff. You're kind of part Cub Scout. Embrace your inner Cub Scout. You're up here. Be prepared, be helpful, have those essentials, the water bottle, the first aid kit, a snack, all that stuff. So that, you know, if you have a tiger, they're not going to be able to carry a gallon of water, right? We need to have parents that have that ability to be the I don't know, the base of operations, if you will. Pocket knife is good to have, water, first aid kit, sunscreen. What else am I forgetting, guys? Snacks. Sorry? Whistle. Yeah, sure. Take a whistle. Absolutely. Don't give it to your Cub Scouts, though. That could be a recipe for
Not
disaster.
essential, but good shoes for walking.
Yes.
You put a lot of.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, if you're out at Yellow Road, that's the farthest.
That's the way.
Everyone-
Yeah, that's the downside to being on the other side of the thing. It's a long walk to
Especially if
lunch.
But
you're
it is,
leading
but it's
the
nice shade
horse
though.
on the.
Much better.
yeah.
I was not prepared.
So what Jennifer asked me to convey is set a positive example for your scouts more. There have been some challenges from time to time of adults that are having
And
a
they're
hard
still
time.
doing the,
Sorry?
they're still doing, oh, never mind. You
Yeah,
got more.
I do. The one thing that is most common for the medic to get is, oh my gosh, I have a sliver, and wham, wham, wham. Bring tweezers. Bring sets of tweezers. It's somebody's going to wake up the medic at 3 a.m. because their kid had a sliver and couldn't get to sleep. We can operate tweezers, right? It's just a thing. Bring lots of water bottles. She recommended electrolyte tablets. We did this. I went to Jamboree with about 33 scouts, and we went through electrolytes. It was hot, and this isn't quite as bad, but we don't want your scouts dropping like flies. That's really not okay. Encourage hydration. Encourage them to drink water. It's okay if they're using the bathroom a lot. Yes, lots of sun protection. Thank you, Stephen. You're absolutely right. Trick for uniform and flags. Sorry, I gotta talk about the Pony Express first. The Pony Express is awesome. If you haven't been there, it is right after flag, right before they go wash their hands for a meal, usually breakfast and dinner. And a couple of horses thunder in with all the mail for the day. You'll notice the wranglers don't get off the horses. It's a safety thing. They've had challenges with people sending big boxes for Billy Cub Scout. They're going to encourage people to keep it small parcels or letters, please. There was a few times of like trying to hand a Cub Scout a Amazon, gargantuan thing. So those are the minor adjustments. If you're leading a group, when I was there, I really like to have every single scout get something. And if their parent didn't send a letter, oh, sorry, forgot to mention, do not rely on US Postal Service. It just so many times doesn't get there. Take it with you, write the scout's name, pack number, and their campsite, and then hand it to Jennifer Ramirez. She's got buckets behind bins behind the counter for each of the 6 times, I think it's 6, that the Pony Express rides, right?
I'm not gonna find.
Okay, right?
Just 4.
yeah.
It only runs on. the
On day
full
2 and day
days.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 4, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you might be going here. If you forget, even as a parent, I did not realize
Yeah.
the importance and excitement of the Pony Express.
Right,
I bought a postcard
okay,
at the shop and I
exactly.
handed it in at,
Yep.
at
Snickers
home.
bar. Don't do the slushy. That's not gonna Snickers bar, whatever, a postcard, something that's not breakable. We took my youngest when we went the most recent time, which was a while ago. He's really into stuffed animals. He got a new stuffed animal. It made his time there a little bit. He put in his backpack, his new stuffed animal, right? Whatever.
I see the adjustments. That was because the Pony Express kept showing up after they called the scouts in that were waiters.
Okay,
They would get mail while they're not out there, so. it
So,
looks like they've adjusted
I don't
it.
think that's gonna change because
Well, there's
the
something up there.
and this is how my method for avoiding that. Before you get there, if you can make a duty roster, It's hard because you don't know how many tables you're gonna get. You can kind of guess. It's like, is it 8 per table? I think 8 scouts, 2 adults. Every table needs 2 scouts and 1 adult at each meal. Every scout usually serves, I want to say it's twice, typically, if everybody does it evenly. Just see if you can spread it out. And they also serve for lunch. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, 2 scouts per table, and then 1 adult. The adult's job is to supervise and oversee. Try to make it so that every scout has an opportunity to see the Pony Express and get something. So we're going to make sure that Tommy Tenderfoot there is available day 3 dinner. And that's when they're going to get their Snickers bar and their letter from mom or whatever. And you can kind of scope it out before you even go. Yes, when we get there, I've always had to like adjust a little bit. But there was a time when, you know, the kid was going to get a thing and he missed 2 in a row. Well, how do we get, you know, it's really kind of sad. Think about it beforehand, right? What Pony Express, breakfast and dinner, are they going to get right after flag, and make sure they're available, and that's the time that you've set up to do that. Don't stress it too much, but just think about it. That makes sense? Yeah. Okay. That's how it factors into waiters. Thank you. Uniforms for flag. The last thing that we want, okay, first off, scouts should be in uniform for flag ceremonies. There was an issue with one of our scouts. It was a sensory thing. Didn't want to wear the uniform. Wanted to participate in flag. It was a thing. Scouts should be in uniform for flag if at all possible. The way that I did it, and this is where a 5-gallon bucket trick comes into play, is every scout in the morning puts on a t-shirt and then their blue uniform or their tan, if they're older, whatever, over their t-shirt. You go to flag, they do the flag, get to salute, participate. And then as they're lining up to wash their hands, which is immediately after they're released from flag, you go down the line. Okay, Tommy I use my backpack. Into the backpack with the shirt, they're in their t-shirt. And on down the line, I would carry about 6 in my backpack easily. Or you can use a 5-gallon bucket, and you could probably fit 12 or 13 in there, right? So then their shirts are off, they're washing their hands, and when they go in to have pancakes with syrup, and their syrup's getting all over everywhere, and then they go out and get dusty, it's not caked on, it's not pigpen, right? And you've got their uniforms. Then you come back for dinner. Oh, time for flag. Get out the uniforms. They've got their names on everything, right? You've put their names and everybody knows, write your name on everything. Okay, this is Tommy's, this is Billy's, this is Susie's, whatever. And then they have their uniform fresh on, and you go back and do it again. They're washing their hands after the Pony Express and after the flag. Back in the bucket or the backpack it goes. Cool trick with the 5-gallon bucket. You got a lid on it. You glue a nice pad on top. You have a chair everywhere you go. I've seen it. It's cool. I use my backpack. I take a little tripod if I want to sit down. Do what works for you. It's just a cool trick to make your scouts not come home caked in filth, right? So that's my little bucket backpack uniform trick to share with you. Don't have to worry about lunch. Lunch is there's no flag. There's no Pony Express. I asked specifically if we need to bring unit rosters this year because it's all in Black Pug. They should know everything. Jennifer doesn't know if they're going to pull it or if we have to bring it. My recommendation is to create your own roster, a couple of copies, and bring it with you. And I did that for my own sanity. I'm an engineer. I had like check boxes of, did they arrive? Did they have their medical form submitted? Do they have a ride assigned to them? Did we arrive at the park? You know, is everybody alive? That kind of thing, right? For youth and adults. That's just how I did it because I was always kind of like the shepherd, if you will, mostly. And then I would check the boxes as we went down the line. So you might hear more from them at the adult leader meeting about how that's going to work.
Yes, I'm on a Zoom deal.
Hi, Mary.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You have a question?
No,
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks for checking in. Yep. Anybody have any questions about Butte Creek real quick before I hop to base? Hopefully I'm doing okay with time. 8 o'clock.
So I'm assuming it's same for base or Butte Creek.
There are
you're
some tidbits.
registering as a unit, right?
Typically, yes.
So you're getting the roster and registering all the.
Yes.
collecting money and
Yes.
what.
That's the standard operating procedure. Anything else about Butte?
Can we use tweezers? Do we need
Oh,
to
yeah.
take them to first aid?
No, you can do it in camp. Absolutely. I mean, you're not even being invasive. You're not giving them a pill, just pulling out if there's so many
But
slivers.
you can't do a tracheotomy.
That's true. Yeah, there's a limit, right? Okay, let's talk about base. I have a little bit less information, but there are some tidbits I learned from Josh Steinhurst from, I think it was last year or the year before. Oh, sorry, slushy machine fixed. I have no idea, Steven.
Not,
There's no slushy?
There, well,
Sad.
they're gonna try to get a new slushy machine, but the slushy machine last year.
Like bad
it was-
days.
it was not good.
Okay.
That was the thing.
Stand by for more details. Check in at the adult leader meeting. Thanks for asking, Steven. Putting name tag on the uniform shirts. Absolutely. Write it. I don't care. Name tag, Sharpie, something. Okay. Base at Baldwin. If you're not familiar, Baldwin is a fair ways of a drive. I'm guessing from here is probably about 2.5 hours. You go to Mount Hood, you keep going. You're almost halfway to Hood River. You take a right and you're almost to Dufur. It's a haul. 6 days, 5 nights. You're going to arrive Sunday afternoon, if I recall correctly. You leave Friday. I want to say it's mid-afternoon. Oh, by the way, sorry. Butte Creek, parts A and B only. You're only on site for less than 72 hours. So you don't need a part C. Clear? Base Baldwin, if you're there for more than 72 hours, you need part C. So it's a little bit more intense. If you are an adult and you're swapping out with somebody else halfway through and you're there less than 72 hours, parts A and B should work. I think ask at the leader meeting to make sure.
Real quick, by the way,
yeah.
6 days, 5 nights is new.
Yes.
The previous sessions that we had attended the past couple of years, they were the same length as Butte Creek and structured similar.
Yeah, they're opening it up, right? A little bit more.
They're trying to get you guys more free.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff to do there, which is great. There are 2 sessions. I'll show you them in a second. It's a sad slide because it's not nearly as full as the other one. This is again for those that have finished bear or finished Webelos. They need to be a little bit more experienced or at least more mature. There's a little more freedom involved, all that kind of stuff. Thank you. Yes, part C is good for a whole year. Thank you. There's a whole thing about that. So if you did a part C with the doctors in January for something, that counts for the whole year. The program is designed to help those older scouts get excited about the next step, to get excited about joining a troop, excited about going to summer camps like Meriwether and Baldwin and Pioneer and all that. My understanding is I think Baldwin still has some green canvas tents. I don't think it's that many, but they're still there. And then,
There's a lot.
okay, there's a lot. It's been a little while since I've been. I know they also have DACs in some of the places,
Yeah.
right? So it's a mix. Up there, it's not quite as blisteringly hot. It is dusty. So be aware of that, right? Did you guys, Ian? Okay, yeah. These are the 2 sessions. There's more info at that link. And I will warn you that I've been a scout. I was a scout for 10 years, and this is my 10-year anniversary, like yesterday, of being a volunteer. I have 20 years. I've always been in this area. I get lost at Baldwin. I will own it. I will be somewhere over here. Where the heck am I? And it's a big circle of a road around the lake, and I swear to you, it's easy to get lost. It's okay. I would recommend, I don't know what you guys did, print out a sheaf of these maps and hand them out to all your adults and your scouts, because it's going to be get a buddy and go do a thing.
And even the maps. As
Good.
someone who works there, I get lost.
Thank you.
maps are
Thank
not-
you. I feel so validated.
Nice to get you maps because even like last year I had a different map in the trading post than was given out to the troops, and they would come into the trading post to look at my map because apparently it had a different thing.
Oh, it was more detailed or something?
Yes,
Oh
so-
my gosh.
Yes, so yes, don't feel bad.
Thank you for validating my moment here. And I feel silly when I get lost, but it just can happen.
So you're saying bring a flare gun?
Yes.
Or a whistle. Whistle, exactly, yes. It's okay. Honestly, if you're inside the circle, just keep walking until you hit the road and you'll get there. If you're outside the road, be very careful because you can walk for a long way. Sorry. Again, we are west of Mount Hood. So you've driven all the way up to Mount Hood and then back down on 35 towards Hood River. You're hanging a right and you're about a third of the way to Dufur. And that road could use improvement. It's at least paved. Mostly. It's there's a lot of things, potholes and stuff. There are the prices over there. And there are some early bird discounts. I think we're past that time frame. It is roughly a 2-hour drive from the east part of Beaverton. It's like 2.5 from here. And again, there's that staging of how many adults you get for free, I think, with the number of scouts you take. So that's worth that. A few tips that I have, again, special needs forms, same deal, right? I just copied and pasted. Same thing with the med forms, same thing with the over the counter. The one thing that some people didn't anticipate is there's a waterfront and it's open. And one of the first things you'll do as a scout, as an adult, is jump in the water and take the BSA swim test if you want to. I don't think it's required, but it's encouraged. This is a thing that you can do if you're taking scouts and they want to go canoeing, swimming, whatever. Get them prepared, take a den or whatever to Conestoga Rec Center or here at Hillsborough or whatever's near you and practice that BSA swim test. It's standardized. You can look it up. It's accessible. The water is a little bit chilly. It's a little bit murky. When I was a youth, they had leeches there in the non-swimmer area. I think they're gone. They're mostly gone. But it's different than a pool. So getting your scouts in water here and practicing that is really critical to their success. And also to give them the, hey, you tried, that's awesome. You didn't quite get there. You got beginner. That's okay. Right. You as an adult, if you do the swim test, you can take scouts out in like a rowboat, right? I think, even if they're a non-swimmer, and give them that experience in the water. That works.
Water is cold.
It is chilly. It's not like super cold, but it's chilly. It's up there.
We had several scouts being shocked during this.
Really?
Yeah. it's
Like the
cold.
wind got
Yeah,
knocked
yeah.
out of them sort of thing.
Yeah, it's all the wind picks up.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the afternoon with them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful lake. It's a lot.
We actually.
Yes.
We had like, we need to bring an extra set of clothes at waterfront because.
Yeah.
The kids will not bring anything and they'll just.
I'll
like
just
in
be
their
cold,
swimsuit.
shivering. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great point. Towels, change of clothes, the whole bit. The other thing is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, there are some times where groups will cook in camp.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple times?
Most of their cooking is done in camp and,
There's no-
just as another thing, I'm actually gonna be the special needs.
Oh.
For special needs.
We have a ringer.
So please put your information
Yeah.
on Black Hug because my understanding
Yes.
is you'll be able to see that.
Yes.
That will be so helpful.
That's what I was promised.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So some of the meals last year were delivered as here's a meal. I don't know how it's going to work this year. I didn't hear it. I didn't get to talk to Bo. Like,
So the pieces of your meal are delivered.
okay.
And this year you should have, like a menu with
Okay.
like, what's going to be, what
Yeah.
the pieces are going to, you can put together to make.
Okay. So it's more
Last
like,
year with Cubs, we didn't have as many like, you didn't have to cook in your campsite. But
Okay.
My understanding, we're gonna be doing more cooking in campsite with the Cub Scouts. And we'll be doing camp wides as well.
okay.
but
Okay. It's a
we
bit
have
more
to
like,
do that because otherwise our kitchen is too overwhelmed.
oh yeah. And that was a challenge last year, I heard.
Yes.
So it's a bit more like Scouts BSA Camp Baldwin. You're going to cook
Yes.
primarily. Now, the good news is you don't have to bring, as far as I know, hardly any gear because they have the full setup,
Yeah.
right? The stoves, all that stuff. So you don't have to worry about it. Just be mentally prepared, monitor your time. I know Scouts BSA troop leaders, I'll get to your question, John, in just a second. It's a good one. Or your comment actually. This is my troop. Scouts take a long time to cook dinner, clean up, and finally get out the door by night. It is hard. And it's a real exercise in the patrol method when they're in their teens. So when you're there with the Webelos, it's our job to, and did you experience it, to usher them? We're going to do this together. We're going to have a good time. We're going to eat. And now we're going to go do the thing, right? To usher that along. It's great practice for the patrol method. It really is.
Yeah, and make sure that it's split up because what our group, they'd want to cluster around one stove. It's like, when we had 4 stoves.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you 3 cook here and
You three cook
over
here.
Like break
Yeah.
up and this will go a lot faster.
Absolutely. So John has a good point for Baldwin, with your Cub Scouts at base. If you want to be in a boat with a scout, the adult needs to be a swimmer, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So that's critical. And that's one thing that Josh Steiner has told me is, I don't think all of his adult leaders last year were expecting to go jump in the water. It's kind of important that we have some adult leaders that are willing to do that, do the swim test, and then so they can do that experience with the scouts. So thank you, John, for chiming in on that one. I really appreciate it. Yes, expect to cook. Any other comments on cooking? We have a ringer in the room. Anything people should know about cooking or food? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, I would say if, you have somebody that has like special needs.
Yeah.
Issues, bring your own stove, just because, there's only so many
Ah.
stoves. And also then you're not risking
Okay.
cross contamination, whatever, on other things. And,
Can everybody online hear that?
so bring your own stove if you have any special foods needs.
Yeah.
That would be the most helpful thing, because then you're not, you'll definitely have a place to cook your food.
Yeah.
I
And,
cannot
and,
guarantee everything is not gonna be non-frozen, because I can't, there's no way to do that.
well, and we've even had some scouts with a lot of, very impactful intolerances or allergies, just bring their own.
Yeah, yeah,
And
we
you
have a
little-
place to store that in the commissary,
Yeah.
and I can like give it to you in the box that'll go on the truck to be.
Yeah,
delivered, so.
exactly. So do what's best for your scout's success. Any other thoughts or comments or questions about
I would recommend bringing some spices and.
spices?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
They don't
yeah,
have, like,
little
salt and pepper.
Tabasco. Yeah, sure.
They-
Ketchup.
Yeah, we don't
Keep
have-
it simple.
Spaghetti sauce and they had limited seasoning.
Oh,
yeah.
comment from John, if you need coffee to function, bring your own. We use pour over in my troop. It's really easy. You could do French press, whatever, but yes, coffee's not a standard thing. So excellent point, John. Thank you for that. You're absolutely right. Okay. I want to, okay, do you know if they're still doing adult leader awards? You may not, if you're-
We are going to do that, but I think it's going to be different this year. I know that
Okay.
our program director is working on making it.
Okay.
And yes.
But they're gonna, so I know that they're doing something at Butte. I'm not really focused. I didn't talk to Deb to know what she's doing. For the last decade, I've been going to camp, and the Cub Scouts especially, they had these resident camp leader awards. I don't see anybody on with their own uniform, but there was, you probably have a few. It used to be, there was a big circle with 3 parts and they had the rectangles. This is a great way to keep your volunteer adults engaged. If they're like, I don't know, man, hey, here's a thing you can do, whatever it is. A lot of times it has to do with staying the entire time, participating, helping a scout do something, learning and meeting the staff. And some at Cub World, it was like you had to learn all their like favorite flavors of ice cream or something. It was wild.
Yeah.
It's nuts, but it's fun, and you usually get a patch. Sometimes it's like a mug or whatever. That's a great way to keep your adults engaged and keep them from having that the day 3 blues of, oh my gosh, this again. I could tell stories about this, but I will digress. Oh, nap safely. Are they doing nap safely at Butte? That
I
was
think we tried to do that last year. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it again.
that was a Camp Clark tradition, and it was hilarious. Yes, I hope they do nap safely somewhere. I can't guarantee they will. Participate, meet the staff, be friendly. Again, set a good example for your youth and all of those things. And
You know, the point about meeting the staff, I remember when I went to Butte Creek for the very first time, and Butte Creek really themes up the whole, this is almost like a cowboy camp.
Yep.
To the point that, I mean, because they even have like, oh, like the outlaw wranglers. come through. It was almost a little bit like a sort of Disney World kind of thing, in that I almost felt like, should I not be approaching the staff as like fellow human beings?
if
Because
they're in
like,
character, right?
yeah, like, you wouldn't walk up to Goofy going, "It's really hot today."
Gonna get you a slushy.
Subsequent years, I realized like, okay, actually, it's good to be.
Yeah. They kind of like that interaction. You know what-
I mean, my experience, like at Weevil Woods and all that, but there's a checklist you go through, right? So it's almost like
Yeah.
a scavenger hunt. You
It
gotta
is.
go and, you know, so it's like at Butte Creek, it's like, you gotta get up and tell a dad joke. at the
Yep.
assembly,
Stuff
or,
like
you know,
that.
stuff
It's
like
different
that.
every year. It's different at every place, but embrace it. Have fun with it and encourage those that you go with to do it. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the packing list, but you need to make sure your scouts bring a sleeping bag, a pad, a pillow, their toothbrush, toothpaste, for the duration of camp, flashlight, first aid kit, water bottle. This applies to all the camps, right? Sunscreen. Everybody needs buckets of sunscreen, especially at Butte. Also base. Their scout uniform. The pro tip, and this has been the case forever, leave the neckerchief slide and the neckerchief at home. Also, maybe the hat.
For
And if-
base camp, the Weeblos, if they're still got the pins on their arm,
Okay,
leave those home too, because we found
yeah, they'll get ripped off.
laying on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they never get back.
And you never know whose it is. They're all the same.
They never
Exactly.
get back.
So the shirt, everything else, then the loops, if they got the loops on the tan shirt, right? Whatever shirt they're wearing. Make sure you have those med forms, right? If it's more than 72 hours, that part C is critical. That's going to be part of check-in. They do collect those as far as I know.
Yeah.
I like to take copies of my roster, copies of the map, and copies of the leader guide. that they publish for this camp, because there might be something that, oh my gosh, what time was that again? Oh yeah, right. Okay, we're good, or whatever. It's hard to keep everything right at the top of the queue in your brain.
We don't have leader guides for schedules out yet.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that just be for.
Okay, so-
Because again, this is a new
Yeah.
thing that.
So this is the third year for base,
Yes.
and
but
they're
it's only the
still
first year that they're
figuring it out.
taking a full week,
And
so-
and Jennifer's got a little bit more road behind
Yeah.
her on Butte, so she's got a lot of stuff. And again, what I showed you was their draft. So, and this is from one of the older packing lists. This isn't the really old one that said leave your Walkman at home, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, exactly. What's a Walkman, Dad? Don't worry about it. Your 8-track tape will stay at home too. Closed-toed shoes is really important for everybody. Do not bring flip-flops unless it's just for the shower. Shower shoes are fine, and then you come out. Yes,
So on that exact note,
yes,
for Butte Creek, can we wear like water socks, panning for cold?
yes. I believe that's
So
appropriate.
you, take them in your backpack or something, put
Yep.
them on at the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
But yeah, to and from,
Of
you'll
course.
still have to wear
Yep.
your shoes.
But they will get onto you if you're wearing flip-flops, or Crocs is one of those that I kind of smirk at, but I'm gonna let the staff worry about that. So this is, I think, what they still send out on the camping list, so feel free to review it. In the leader guide, they'll have a probably better one for you. There are leader meetings. There's one leader meeting for all of the, as I'm told by Jennifer Ramirez, one leader meeting for all the Cub Scout camp opportunities. It'll be Thursday, May 30th. I think she said 7 p.m. Expect it to be via Zoom. I believe that they almost always record them, and then Chris Bartell will post them either on YouTube, Vimeo, or both. So if you can't make it, you can't ask questions to a video, but at least you'll be able to watch, right? It is really, there's usually some really good last bit information in there of, oh, don't forget this, or we had to change this, or whatever. And if you attend the Zoom meeting, you can ask questions, just like I've got people here typing in chat, right? Oh, there's a coffee badge at Butte last year. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, sure,
I got that one.
Just-
Awesome. I love
just
it.
the sticker though, I was disappointed it wasn't a pack.
Maybe this year. Please, if whatever you have, if you have a group going from to either of the camp, make sure there's a representative from any group you're sending on any session to go to that, so they hear it, right? And what my friend Daryl and I always, we were kind of camp buddies. I'll get to your question in a second, I promise. We would go together, and he would end up hearing and latching onto different things than I did, and we would exchange ideas. Oh, you caught that? Oh, that's right. They said that. Well, I remember this. Oh yeah. And if you have more than one person listening, you'll get more. So that's just my recommendation. Yes.
For Butte Creek last year, we wouldn't find out the time that they wanted you to arrive until a week before. Is that
Okay.
still the way this, forgive me, I keep in.
I
mind 'cause was
don't-
doing Scout-
Yes, I understand. I don't know the answer to that. They said the time for check-in for Butte was 3 to 6 p.m.
So yeah, it's gonna probably be
It,
similar.
they might give you slots. That was something they did with COVID. They gave
Well,
you
this
very
was- this
defined
was last
slots.
year, too, though.
Okay, it was.
Too.
It's
Yeah,
just
so
so-
I gotta get the luggage and all that.
Okay, so it's a logistical thing. Okay, that makes sense. And I think base at Baldwin is just show up, I think.
Yes, some-
It's a little bit of a free for all. So I think that's probably what you can expect is before you get there, they're gonna give you a time and do your best to hit that time.
Yeah, good, because it was like a 20-minute window.
Yes.
It wasn't big.
And that's because they need to get your stuff to camp and get you going. And so I'm glad to hear that. It's a logistical challenge. And again, that's a great reason, if you can, to go to that Scotts Mills Park, because if you've got an extra 15 minutes, no big deal. We can just sit here and wait. Or if you're late, let's hurry up, scouts. We got to, eat your food fast. We can have that little bit of buffer. To summarize, CPC and National are emphasizing resident camps. It's an on-ramp to Scouts BSA. Let's try to get as many of our scouts as we can. These camps are amazing. They're age appropriate. It's fun. It's exactly what our scouts need right now, especially coming out of what's been a challenging 4 years with the pandemic. Get them back together, doing things. The progression of camp provides an increasing depth. It's a spiral thing. If you're an educator, you know what this is. You hit the same stuff multiple times, they learn. Leader guides, they're available now for Butte. Base is going to be soon, I hear. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about camperships. I found the link like 6 hours ago. This is fresh. I need to actually reprint my PDF. This is again something that if Mr. Eakins was having a group go, he could say, okay, I know that Billy Cub Scout and his family, they need a campership. Send that to the parents or guardians. Make sure to fill this out. It's all right here. All the information is right there. Comments.
Yes, that link, that is for all financial aid requests. It's all combined into one form. So if you
Okay.
need financial aid for dues, camper ships,
All in
whatever it
one.
may be, use that form.
Okay.
You'll categorize as you fill out the form. like what
Excellent.
you need it for.
Good to know. Good to know. It's not just camper ships, it's everything. So,
You're emailing the spec out to everybody?
yes, I will. If you signed in, everybody signed in, right? Sign in. I've got your email. I will send it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, BC, right? I've got your email somewhere.
It's on the list.
Yes, there you go. Awesome. To wrap up, and then we'll get to your comment because your comment is good. Build those memories with your scouts. This is what it's all about. So that is my bit. Let's delve into your scenario, right? And that was, again, you're taking a group of, you think a group of scouts are going to want to go, and you're not sure if adults are going to be able to go with them,
I
right?
mean, I couldn't get the. I haven't yet to, I mean, there's been some talk, so I need to tie off with folks that are taking over next year, but I wasn't able to get critical mass of adult leadership.
So what's critical mass in your mind?
What's that?
What is critical mass in your mind? Like,
Oh, and you have to have enough, you have to have two people leadership the entire
Right.
time, right? And you need to have
Right.
enough scouts, so I had like 5 scouts and 1 adult signed up to go, right?
What age group?
We hadn't picked it, we were just trying to get who was going, so
Mhm.
we could get the dates.
So from the whole pack.
From the whole
Yeah.
pack.
Okay.
so it used to be that you could reach out to the council, call in the volunteer services desk and say, hey, here's my situation. I've got 5 scouts. I got 1 adult. Can you help me bolt on to another pack that's in a similar place? And they would actually match you. And it could be somebody from Vancouver. It could be somebody from Albany. And then you'd like buddy up with them and you'd
Yeah.
get their email or whatever and talk about, hey, you're going to bring this. You got the coffee. I got the this, whatever.
Yeah.
And you might meet at Scouts Mills Park because you can drive scouts in a minivan,
Right.
you and 5 scouts, right?
Mhm.
That's okay. You meet at the park, you mold up, and then you go to camp. That's a possibility. And I've seen that happen before. And it kind of matches up with Ian mentioned, 1-on-1, wasn't it you at base? You had 1 scout that bolted in with you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They were a plus 2 basically.
And it's going to be that kind of thing, but it might be more of a merger than a
Yeah.
+2, right?
So the question, so I'll take this back to the pack, but so the
Yes.
question is, how do I get those that are interested in doing this connected, right? Where do I get them?
Yeah.
How do I get them connected?
So you can call, you're planning to go to Butte Creek, is that right?
I would assume that, yeah.
So I would first contact the volunteer services desk. They might point you to contact Jennifer Ramirez directly. She's the camp director.
Volunteer service, that's
Yeah,
good. Contact for that.
it's the main number. It's
Yeah, I need your Google, CPSA and staff phone number.
yeah.
I'll Tigers and Lions, and I said, each scout needs a parent to go. Sorry.
Well, and that's what's happening. So when I first went to Cub Scout camp
Oh, yeah.
nearly 10 years ago, we took like 14 cubs and maybe 5 adults. And I asked Jennifer about this. I said, by the time I was done, it was closer to a 1-to-1 ratio.
That's been our experience.
And it's true at Butte. I think at base, it tends to spread a little bit more.
Basically,
Right.
we were like 6 scouts and 3 adults or something like that.
Yeah, which isn't bad, right?
No, I mean, I was shocked by, I mean, that's the way it was when I went too,
Yeah.
right? It was, everybody showed up with their kids. For, at least one of the parents showed up with their kids, right?
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised to end up in that pickle, and I'm like, well, okay,
Yeah, well, and one of the things that Jennifer mentioned is that when they're getting full, it's usually full of the scout number. They'll take as many adults as you bring. And another tidbit, I forgot to mention this in my tips. I'm sorry, I was thinking about it yesterday. It does not ever hurt to throw a couple extra tents in your car. They might come in handy. You might not need them, just chuck them in there. I used to take 1 or 2. And there's usually a space to pitch a tent somewhere, even up on the hill, whatever.
Sometimes you have to use the tent's cooler than the.
It doesn't cook as much.
we use
So-
those to-
Sorry, I gotta go.
No, it's all good. This is a great wrap up. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being online. I really appreciate it. I hope this was useful for you, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.